Today we're going to be talking about the 7 signs that your ex-girlfriend may want you back. But if you're like anyone who's coming to this video or even considering getting your ex-girlfriend back, the first thing you should figure out is whether or not you should even be trying to get your ex-girlfriend back. There's things like if you should be trying to get her back, what kind of circumstance you are in. All of these factors create different chances of success, if you will. Now, luckily on our website, www.exgirlfriendrecovery.com, we've put together a special quiz that's designed to help you come to an answer so that you can basically determine whether or not you should even be attempting to get your ex-girlfriend back or simply focus your energies on moving on. Now, if you want to take this quiz, it's free. It takes 2 minutes to complete, and all you have to do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on it. It's that simple. All right, so now with that out of the way, let's start talking about what the 7 signs that your ex-girlfriend wants you back look like. Sign number 1, they respond to your basic reach out attempts. Now, if you are a veteran of the ex-girlfriend recovery program, you know that I'm a big proponent of something called the no contact rule, which is basically this period of time where you ignore your ex on purpose with the intent of making them miss you while at the same time working on yourself. At least that's the official destination. But after that, we have this very specific way in which we tell our clients to reach out and start a conversation with your ex-girlfriend. Now, usually we try to go above and beyond so that we give our clients the best chance of success in getting a response from their ex-girlfriends. Things like hooks and talking about your ex-girlfriend's interests as opposed to your interests. All of these things matter in getting her to respond to you. But what if you weren't to do that? What if instead, let's say you try a no contact rule, you get through it, maybe it's 21 days or 30 days, you decide that you're going to just reach out to your ex with a simple, hey, or what's up, or how are you doing? Something very generic. Now, most times we find that our clients who do this are unsuccessful. In other words, they don't get a response from their ex-girlfriend, and this causes them to panic and get angry and flustered, essentially. But if you do send that and you do get a response, it tells us something really interesting. It tells us that your ex-girlfriend is very interested in talking to you. So much so that she doesn't even care if you reach out with a simple generic text message. Now, I'm not gonna say this is the be all end all in that if your ex-girlfriend responds to a generic text message like, hey, or what's up, or how are you doing, that you're guaranteed to get her back. No, but I will say it's a great start because generally speaking, in circumstances like that, your ex-girlfriend will have a longer type of a conversation because you're not having to think outside the box to keep her engaged. Sign number 2, they call and leave you emotional voicemails. Now, I certainly cannot take credit for this because actually I am blessed with having lots of different female clients. So why does that matter, do you ask? Great question. So the people I'm talking to who are hopefully watching this video are males trying to get their ex-girlfriends back. But most of my clients are females trying to get their ex-boyfriends back. So you could say that I should be a pretty good expert on identifying behaviors that women have when they want their exes back desperately. And it just so happens that a client of mine wants her ex back really badly. So much so that she is willing to call her ex and leave voicemails. The funny part is it's been extremely effective for her, which is why I'm happy to talk about it. But I think on the other side of the coin, if you are actually, let's say in the middle of a no contact rule, using that no contact rule, your ex-girlfriend maybe reaches out to you and leaves a voicemail. And the voicemail happens to be emotional. Maybe she's not crying, but she says that she wants to talk or she needs to get something off of her chest. This is a great sign that she cannot get her mind out of the breakup, that she's thinking so much about it, she can't think of anything else. Now again, I don't want you to think that this is the be-all, end-all. It is entirely plausible that your ex-girlfriend could be reaching out to you to leave voicemail for a closure talk, especially if you didn't get that closure talk. This is why I think the timing of when it happens, as well as the content of the text message, are really important factors to consider. Most of the time, if your ex-girlfriend is reaching out to you during the no contact rule and leaving a voicemail, she's doing it through a place of emotion. But let's say she's also doing these kind of voicemails after you've been talking back and forth and things are going extremely well. The timing is really interesting there. In that case, you can definitely look and say, this means something a little bit more than maybe just the emotional outburst she's having after you're doing a no contact rule on her. So remember, the contents of the voicemail and the timing of the voicemail are really important factors that you need to be considering. Sign number 3, they talk to you constantly even though they have moved on. Now, a lot of men who come to me and want to work with me or come to the website, they are terrified or petrified of their ex-girlfriend moving on to another guy. Just the mere thought of her sleeping with some other dude is enough to keep them up at night and fill them with an anger or a hatred. But what if I were to tell you that it's not as bad as it actually seems, especially if she's consistently talking to you, relying on you for emotional support, when she should be doing that with the other guy. What we found is that it's a pretty good indicator that your ex-girlfriend is unhappy in her new relationship if she's consistently talking to you during it. You see, the way I see it is breakups is essentially an admission that your ex-girlfriend thinks that she can do better than you, or that she deserves to be treated better by another guy than you. But if she keeps coming back to the well, she keeps relying on you for emotional support, she may have had a bit of the grass is greener syndrome. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's pretty standard. It's when she's with you and thinks, I could do better. She thinks the grass is greener on the other side, so she breaks up with you to explore that other side. Only the grass isn't greener. This is a common thread we see happening in long-term relationships where maybe they're out of the dating game so long they don't realize how miserable it can actually be if you're consistently single and you want maybe something bigger or better for your relationship life. So the key things to really keep an eye out for here is, what is she talking to you about when she's with the other guy? If she's talking to you about kind of meaningful topics that are not things that she should be talking about with a normal friend, but maybe topics that she should only be talking to or about with more than a friend, it's a good sign that she's unhappy in her current relationship and does have that grass is greener syndrome. Sign number 4, they refuse to give you your things back. This is without a doubt my favorite sign because it's almost incredibly obvious why they don't want to give you your things back. So what do I mean by giving you your things back? Well, simply put, when you are with someone for a long period of time, things accumulate. They leave things at your place, you leave things at their place, and these items sometimes are of importance. In fact, sometimes these items are of such importance that you feel this need to ask for the items back. So you shoot off a text message to your ex-girlfriend to which she does not respond. Normally you just chalk it up to the anger of the breakup. Yeah, she's angry. Even though she was the one to break up with me, she's painting herself as the victim. I'll give her some space. Maybe a week goes by and you try again. Hey, I really need to get that thing back. She doesn't respond. Or if she does respond, she kind of completely doesn't talk about the item exchange. Now, why would she do this? Simply put, in her mind, exchanging items is essentially the same as a closure talk. Her giving you that item back is her essentially admitting to the universe that things are over for good. So she does not want to do that. She avoids it. Sometimes she'll even string it out so long and force you to go kind of on a mini date with her to get this item back. These are great signs that your ex-girlfriend is not only still into you, but thinking very deeply about getting back together with you. Sign number 5, they reach out to you more than you do to them. So I don't know if you know this, but anyone who buys the ex-girlfriend recovery program or the ex-boyfriend recovery program gets access to this private Facebook support group. Essentially, this support group of over 4,000 individuals who are going through breakups, basically going through the exact same thing you are, where they want their exes back and they're just devastated about the fact. Every week, I try my very best to show up and do a Facebook Live where I just take listener questions. And one of the things that I always say in those Facebook Lives is, you need to view this process like a scientist would. Chart everything, because usually when you are so down and deep in the middle of this process, you are in the grind, you experience the highs and the lows, it's hard for you to make calculated decisions that are smart. Sometimes you can't make those calculated decisions unless you are charting and see the big picture. One of the things I tell people to chart is chart how many times you're reaching out to her versus her reaching out to you. And also chart how many times she's responding to your text message and you're responding to her text messages. I often call this the text ratio. Usually we're looking for a complete balance. For every one text message that you send, she should send one back. And typically it's a great sign if for every one text message you send, they send 2 or 3 back, almost like they need to elaborate on the points that they are making. Now, I have a common problem doing this with pretty much everyone, where I'll say something and then I'll think, oh, I need to say something more and more and more. Next thing I know, my text ratio is maybe 3 to 1. So for every text message that a friend or family member sends to me, I send 3 back, elaborating. If your ex-girlfriend is doing this very thing, it's a great sign that she wants to talk more in depth, or that there's more left unsaid or more for you to uncover or peel back the layers to discover with her. Sign number 6, they bait you to respond during no contact. So this is also one of my hidden favorite ones because of how little people talk about it and how much I see it go on. You're familiar with how to catch a fish, right? You need a few tools. You need a fishing pole and bait. Depending on the different types of bait, you'll often attract different types of fish according to what they like to bite on. Well, whether you realize it or not, you have certain tools at your disposal when you actually enter into our process. The no contact rule, text messaging, phone calls, all of that stuff, value chain, value ladder. I can go on if you'd like me to, but really let's just look at the no contact rule. The no contact rule, like I said at the beginning of this video, is a period of time where we ignore our ex on purpose. Sure, there are certain exceptions here or there, but for the most part, we're ignoring our ex on purpose. Now, we do know that most exes don't like to get ignored, especially females. So what they tend to do is try to get you to break the no contact rule, and sadly, they're very effective in how they try to do this. And I would even amend that further and say what we're really looking for is the types of bait they are using and also how often they do it. So I'll give you an example. There are many different types of baits that cause you to break the no contact rule. I need to talk, or there's something important, it's an emergency. All of these things almost cause you to just want to break and find out what is it. Then of course there are those who use anger as bait. Well, fine, be that way. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You know what? If you're going to act this way, we're never going to talk again. Of course, it's a lie because we find that pretty much everyone who's ever had an ex who said that does talk to them again. But also keep in mind the frequency in which they use these type of bait comments. If they're doing it frequently throughout maybe weeks 2 and 3 of the no contact rule, it's a really good sign that they are definitely not over the breakup. Now, I won't go as far as saying, hey, they're willing to come back to you and like beg for you back, but I will say it's a great foundation upon which that can possibly happen. Sign number 7, they are obvious in their jealousy. This is something that is not new, but is kind of new. Now that's a paradox. What do we mean by that? Well, with the advent of social media, jealousy has been running rampant, especially when it comes to breakups. What do we know about social media and breakups? Well, we know that 90% of exes will Facebook stalk after a breakup. We also know there are lots of different statistics I can cite basically saying your ex will be spying on you or keeping an eye on your profile even if they've blocked you or unfriended you on Facebook or even unfollowed you on Instagram. So where does jealousy come into play? Let's say that you and your ex-girlfriend began a conversation after the no contact rule is complete. Everything seems to be going well, and you also take my advice and start posting awesome things, basically showing how much of an awesome person you are on your social media accounts. Now, what's interesting is these awesome things you're posting on social media attract the attention of other girls. The girls start commenting on your photos, to which you reply or you like back. You know your ex-girlfriend has seen this, and you can find the correlation between her seeing other women be attracted to you and also her falling off in your conversations together, thereby basically signifying to you she is bothered by the fact that other women are finding you attractive. Yet what we also do know is that there needs to be a certain element of a fear of loss in order for your ex-girlfriend to seriously consider taking you back. So what we're looking for here as a good sign that your ex-girlfriend wants you back is if these little subtle jealousy hints bother her. If she sees other women liking your photos on Facebook or Instagram and you like back or make a comment back, and all of a sudden she calls you out on it, or all of a sudden falls off the map when you try to talk to her, it's a good sign that she's jealous and a good sign she still has lingering feelings about your breakup. Okay, we made it to the end of the video. Like always, if you haven't already, make sure you take that Ex Recovery Chances quiz I talked about at the beginning of this video. All you have to do is go to my website, www.exgirlfriendrecovery.com, or simply look in the description link of this YouTube video and click on that link. If you haven't liked, commented, or subscribed to my YouTube channel or any of the other social media platforms, probably a good idea to do that because it's the best way to get your situation heard. Also, like and comment this YouTube video. Comment below. We've been having a weird issue lately with spam commenters, and we're trying to work through those, but do still comment below. Thank you.